And we are coming to you live from beautiful Babcock Field on not such a beautiful night. Game time temperature 50 degrees. Feels like 45, and it's a drizzle here in Washington, Illinois, as we lay the foundation and set the stage for an incredible football game. 6A playoff football. The visiting Normal West Wildcats entering tonight's fray with a record of 6-3. Under the direction of head coach Nate Fincham, he walks into this game with an overall record of 26-13 in his fourth year. The Wildcats, under his direction, have made the playoffs every year. In fact, in the first year, under the helm of Finch, he went all the way to the third round. The Panthers enter the fray into a record of 7-2 under the direction of 17th-year man Daryl Crouch, with an overall record of over 130 wins, just up against 46 losses. Coach Bauer joins me. He is the color man, varsity basketball assistant, quarterback at Dunlap many moons ago. He tells me he's turned 35 years old, which would be ironic because Daryl Crouch has been coaching for nearly 35 years. Coach Bauer, welcome to the booth. Tell us a little bit about what you think tonight's going to look like.
It's great to be back in the booth, even though it's raining. It's Friday night football. It's the playoffs. It doesn't get any better than this. Is it going to be sloppy? I don't think so, because we have field turf. But the ball's going to be wet, and it's really going to be who's going to not turn the ball over in this weather. Let's
set the mood right now for the game, and we're going to start in the trenches, and let's look at Normal West, the Wildcats' offensive line. Right tackle Dylan Duval, he's 6'2", 260-pounder. He's a 2-year starter, and he's an anchor of an offensive line that offensive line coach Dwayne Thonis took a lot of pride in. Nick Barnett, his older brother Ethan, is an offensive lineman at Missouri State. It's in his genetics. It's in his genes, number 72. He gets off the ball. He loves to pass block, which we're going to see a lot of tonight. And perhaps something to watch, there are two young sophomores on that line, 5'11", 210-pound Ty Upton and 6', 270-pounder Ben Jorzak. Both of them sophomores, both of them wrestlers. Both of them are probably going to be a focal point for Todd Stevens. Coach, talk about Washington's offensive line, possibly the most improved part of this football team.
That's correct. Their offensive line with Jordan Martin, Jay Wireman, Case Foster, and it's looking like maybe Will Montgomery and Henry Warwick. In Week 7, Coach, at Canton, we had 224 rush yards. In Week 8 against Metamora, we had 258 rush yards. And then in Week 9 at East Peoria, we totaled up 344 rush yards. That is a huge improvement, and that's what the Panthers are going to have to do tonight is run the ball.
Normal West has some skill on the field. When head coach Nate Fincham took over this program, he talked about the need to get athleticism on the field. And how could he bring that? He brings that via his offensive scheme, and it's a spread offense. Coach, I'm going to let you talk about the quarterback, but before we get to him, there are some definite players out there for him to go to. Number 2, Jono Edmondson, a running back, but when he's not on a football field, we are well aware of him. We saw him this summer at Normal West. He is a dazzling point guard with extreme quickness and lives in the lane. He's also going to be joined out there by another basketball player, number 1, Jamarcus Webb. Lights out three-point shooter in the winter and a wide receiver that's got great deception and loves to get and play in space. And then finally, we've got to talk about the tight end. Would you please talk about their dynamic tight end?
Yeah, let's talk about number 81, Max Seabarth. He's 6'5", 230 pounds, committed to Illinois State. They're going to move him around the field tonight. He might play in the slot. He may play the X, the Y, the Z. All over the field. They're going to try to get him in matchups they like. He can move it down on the vertical routes. Okay, he can catch the short ball. He can block. This guy can do it all.
Washington's offense is definitely going to be something that we love and have enjoyed watching this. Daryl Crouch offenses tend to start off the season. He feels his way through. He figures out what they are, how they're going to play, and then he finds it. And when he finds it, he sticks with it. Coach, describe Daryl Crouch's offense and talk to us about how it's evolved over the course of these last 9 games.
So Coach Crouch is so hard to defend because he comes at you with different formations, and so many. Just to name a few, the I formation, the power, the spread. Coach Crouch can bring that, and he adapts it to his team, and that's what makes him difficult to defend.
As for the offense that you're going to see tonight, Noah Burlett is the quarterback, 64 for 116 on the season, 819 total yards for Burlett with 10 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. But Normal West is well aware of a dynamic running back with quick feet, Thomas Borges, who has eclipsed 1,000 yards on the season.
1,000 yards for Thomas, 8.1 per attempt. That's a big number, and tonight the Panthers are really going to have to run the ball behind this vastly improved offensive line.
To the Normal West defense we will go, and Normal West defense has some standout players. Number 11, Brock Lienerman. He's an outside linebacker. He, again, is a wrestler. It's the third time I've referenced their wrestling program. Undefeated in the grappling season, 5'10", 170 pounds. He flies around the football field. Number 6, Tanner Couples is a free safety. Didn't know much about him as a sophomore. The coaching staff even told us that. And now he's become a leader on the defense, and he is a physical football player. And then finally, the man that came up so many times in the interview with the coaching staff of Normal West, Dylan Wart, the captain, solid, in on every tackle. What should we expect to see out of Normal West tonight?
Well, Coach Fincham continued to play. He talked about his players, and he kept saying they play fast, they play relentless, they fly to the ball. I think that's what we're going to see tonight. We're going to see 11 guys running for that ball as fast as they can, and they're going to fly around.
When one thinks of Washington's defense, it tends to be Cade Bescheid. Cade Bescheid is physical. He flies to the ball. But, Coach Bauer, this defense is more than just Cade Bescheid.
You've got number 44, Jace Harlan, and you've got number 41, E.J. Phillips. Both have 49 tackles on the season. They lead the Panthers. Harlan's got 6 tackles for loss. Phillips has 7 tackles for loss. Can they fly around? Can they get in the backfield tonight and get a few more tackles for loss?
Noah Hoogerwerf, who plays an incredible role as a tight end on this offensive team. He is also leading the Panthers in sacks with 6. You got to keep an eye on number 39, Tyler Casey.
Yep.
He's a playmaker on the D-line, a stalwart on that D-line, 3 forced fumbles. And the man in the DB, Tyler Richardson, they call him T-Rich. He himself has got 5 picks. So we look at this game with a good rain. We know we're playing on turf. It's 6A football. It is right now 7-2 Washington, 6-3 Normal West. Is weather a factor tonight? And if so, please explain.
Sure it is. Of course, weather is a factor. When you have a wet ball, it makes anything more difficult when it comes to handling the snap. And then when it comes to catching the ball and holding on to the ball, running it, it plays a huge factor. But I have no doubt both teams have prepared all week with this wet weather.
We have watched multiple games that were online. Thanks to the new era of 2021, it's pretty easy to find film. And we watched Normal West, and we know that Normal West likes to spread it out.
Yep.
We know that Normal West is going to go trips. We know that they're going to go 5 out every now and then. But this quarterback that we've talked a little bit about, and now we're really going to go into him, Jaden Mangrum. Talk about him, please.
So Jaden Mangrum became the starter in Week 7 against Danville. He went 8 for 12 for 189 yards, and he also had 100 rush yards on 18 carries, which totaled 289 yards in his first game as a starter, and he's only gotten better since then. He's a threat to run. He's a threat to throw. That makes him a dangerous player.
Todd Stevens' defense has been stellar throughout the season, but there have been passing yards allowed. 169 to Highland, 150 to Kankakee. Dunlap, 151. Kankakee and Dunlap, 2 games that Washington lost. This young man that we're going to see tonight, the Normal West quarterback, Mangrum, he threw for 289 yards in his very first game. Is that a key to hold him to virtually nothing?
We've got to stop that, and he's so good because he's mobile, right? So they can run read option. They can run option with him. They can put him in different sets, probably with some RPO stuff. That makes him dangerous. But, yes, defensively, he's a key. We got to stop him tonight.
Daryl Crouch in his 35th year, former football coach at Eureka College, long time coach here at Washington in his 17th year. He is a playoff producing machine. It's veteran Daryl Crouch up against 4th-year coach Nate Fincham. Fincham comes from Colfax High School, just a small town about 30 minutes outside of Normal, a 3-sport athlete himself.
Yep.
I don't think it's ironic that this might be happening right now at Normal West. He was a tight end at Aurora University, and now Max Zebarth, a tight end going to ISU, and Corey Walker, just a few short years ago, a basketball player that's now currently playing at Western Michigan.
He's developing the tight ends over there. It's almost like tight end U.
So we are about ready to start here. There is a buzz in the atmosphere here, but I will admit that the crowd is sparse on both sides as it has been raining right now for what appears to be about 72 straight hours in beautiful Washington, Illinois. That might be a slight exaggeration. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining us on the stream, hope you enjoy the action as Normal West is visiting Babcock Field for the very first time, and what a great time to visit in 6A football, and the kick is underway. Back to receive it right now are the Panthers, and they're at about the 15 to the 20 to the 25, cuts back at the 26 at 27, and pulled down at the 30-yard line to start the game. That is Thomas Borges, number 22, who has rushed for 1,049 yards on the season, and now Thomas Borges is back on kickoff return.
He can do it all.
Working the camera tonight is the best in the business. 8th grader Charles Schermerhorn. He took a journey to Springfield, Illinois today. Hopefully he enjoyed New Salem in the rain. Now he's doing nighttime duty, double shifting as he works the camera. This is Burlett handing off to Borges, and Borges is wrapped up in the backfield. There is no gain. The first play from scrimmage is a run right.
And that was who we thought it was, number 51, Dylan Wirt, just was running through our offensive line to make that tackle for loss.
Defensive coordinator for Normal West is Darren Hess. If that name sounds familiar, he was the head coach for 15 seasons, compiled a 96-56 record, which is very impressive. He is now the defensive coordinator for Nate Fensham. So Normal West, first play from scrimmage, looked like they were stacking the line. We'll keep our eye on that. From all indications of the film that we watched, they like to play a 3-3, and we will now watch what happens with Washington. There's a handoff to Borges as he goes around the right, and there are five Wildcats that bring Borges down for a loss of 2, 3rd and 12.
That was Wirt, I think, that was there first. Yeah, you talked about their defense. He called it like a 3-3 hybrid. It's almost like a nickel where you got the 5 defensive backs. But one of those guys, he called their Viper, the backside safety. He might be a little bigger of a player, not necessarily a true defensive back, but maybe an outside linebacker.
That's Jacob Davis, 6'1", 175 pounds, that plays the Viper out there. I wish somebody would call me a Viper every now and then. That sounds pretty tough. If you're listening out there, if you have any other names that are on defense that we don't know of, feel free to drop us a text line. And this is Burlett scrambling, and Burlett is brought down behind the line. That is Dylan Wirt on all three plays. Wirt makes it, and Fensham predicted it.
Wirt is making his impact quick in this game. He is trying to show who's dominant, and he's doing a nice job of it so far. He is aggressive, and they are flying around.
No longer a secret to anybody in Central Illinois. Paul Sporer is on the field. This young man is averaging 35.8 yards per punt. This is an end-over-end punt, and it will come to a stop at about the 48-yard line. So a rare 3 and out. If we go back in time, Kankakee, an early season game, Washington was 3 and out. Kankakee scored quickly, and the Panthers had trouble gathering themselves and getting calmed down, but they ultimately did. Hopefully we do not see a repeat of that tonight.
Ball will be spotted at the...
And here comes the Normal West offense on under the direction of number 9, junior quarterback Jaden Mangrum. And Mangrum is going to be joined in the backcourt field by number 2, senior Jono Edmondson, point guard in the winter, running back right now in the fall. This is Mangrum out of the shotgun. There's motion now coming across. It's a handoff to Edmondson, and Edmondson is hit immediately.
Great job by EJ.
Number 2,
EJ Phillips adding to his tackles. He was at 49 coming in, leading the Panthers. He is now at 50. If you remember last year in the last game of the season, E.J. Phillips filling in for injured Brock Skaggs, got himself injured there in that last game against Metamora. It's good to see a healthy E.J. Phillips running around that field. We now have 2 wide receivers out to the left, 1 here on the right, and this is Mangrum out of the shotgun. In motion, there is a handoff to Edmondson, and Edmondson is wrapped up on the play.
Edmondson carries again for the Wildcats.
That tackle there is number 42 for the Panthers. That's Connor Rose, a senior, 5'11", 190-pounder.
On the play, 3rd and 12.
Normal West picking up some pace right now as this play was called in very quickly. In the Normal community game, It looked like they were pretty scripted in the first quarter, had good pace, marched all the way down the field, scored on their opening set, on their opening series, however, did not score the rest of the game against Normal Community as they dropped that one 45-7. Mangrum now talking. He's got empty backfield. That is Zebarth in motion. Zebarth is in the flat, and that's a quick slant. And that ball is dropped by number 21, Matthew Marsaglia, 5'8", 150-pound wide receiver.
I think with the rain, they're just trying to get Jaden comfortable out there. Couple run plays to start, a short, quick throw. Great job by the Panthers defense, though. They're getting a nice push on that defensive line. Both teams, 3 and out. And really, I mean, Normal West loses 2 yards and we lose 6 or 7. So a defensive battle so far, the first 2 possessions.
And there is a bad snap. The punter struggles to get it. He indeed does get it off, and that ball takes a Normal West bounce out of bounds at about the 21. So Darryl Crouch's offense will now take the field at about the 21. Social studies teacher in the daytime, defensive coordinator at nighttime, Todd Stevens' defense is off the field. And Dylan Wart in his group now is back on.
There we go. All right, let's see what adjustments the Panthers have made to stop Warts here.
The only thing I know that can go after a snake is a mongoose. If they got a viper out there, maybe we need to go with the play the mongoose around the right or left side. There's a handoff to Borges. And Borges is wrapped up by number 70 for the Wildcats. That's Tristan Glover. Tristan Glover is a defensive end. He was referred to as the fastest D lineman. That's a young man that didn't play as a junior, but has found his way on the football field. As coaches, we know that that's a kid that probably worked hard in the pandemic,
absolutely,
self-motivated, and found a way onto the field as a senior. Gives us a time right now as Burlette gets the play. There's all sorts of chemistry on the sideline of the Panthers. This is not a one-man rodeo out there for Darryl Crouch, as there are multiple coaches that help out, and we will talk more and more about that as the broadcast goes on. Borges around the outside, brought down by number 22, Renane Hosea, and indeed, the Panthers are just short of a first down. It appears to be third down and about 2.
Well, they gave him the first down.
I stand corrected. First down. It's our first down of the game. We talked in multiple broadcasts about the Achilles heel of the Panthers. It is starting to be corrected, and that is penalties on the season. Washington has an amazing 74 penalties, as there is Borges around the left, brought down by Wart. 74 penalties for 642 total yards. If you go back early in the season and you look at Highland and you look at Kankakee in that Dunlap game with 3 turnovers and multiple penalties, it appears it is being corrected right now as this team has grown older and more mature.
I think so. I think that it was corrected, and this team is playing much more disciplined football right now.
In an interview with the football players during homeroom, Dr. Freeman, I hope you're not on hearing that we are conducting interviews when they should have been studying. They let us know that the coaches came up with a nice remedy for those penalties. I believe they called it punishment. There's Burlette with the handoff out of the power eye, and Borges is brought down at the 44-yard line, but that is another Panther first down. So Washington is doing what Coach Fincham had predicted. He said they can come out with 4 different themes. Washington that airs it out, Washington that does some tomfoolery out there, some trickery, Washington that does a little bit of everything, and then there's this Washington circa 1950 that just sits there and pounds that football down the field.
In the I formation, they're getting a heavy dose of Thomas Borges, and I believe it's coming again.
There is Borges as Borges runs straight ahead, and Borges picks up 2. The offensive line, we attended multiple practices, was definitely a focal point for Coach Crouch.
Yes.
Kyle Wisher, offensive line coach, Coach Malinowski. They were letting those guys have it week in and week out. But now Jordan Martin at the center, Case Foster out there as a tackle, Jay Wireman out there on the field as a guard, and multiple other cogs in this. This offensive line is improving so quickly. And how important is it going to be on a rainy night like tonight?
It's always important. No matter if it's rain, shine,
And Borges breaks through the line. Wart wraps him up and brings him down with a little help from Brock Lienerman, the 5'10", 175-pound outside linebacker. But Borges picks up another first down.
And back to the offensive line. Thomas Borges would probably be the first guy to tell you those 1,049 yards are because of his offensive line. He made some great runs, but I guarantee you Thomas would give a lot of that credit to the offensive line for opening up those holes for him.
It's a nice night to be in a press box here at Babcock Field. I'm actually getting quite toasty. Coach Bauer brought a heater in here. It is set currently at, I believe it says 90 degrees Fahrenheit, so we are sweating just like one of our coaches, Coach Stewart in Destin, Florida, watching tonight. Coach Stewart, I hope you're enjoying the white sands of Destin as we're up here in 45-degree weather and a drizzle. There is Borges again up the middle. That was a gain of about 2, and it brings up second down and 8. 4 minutes on the clock, first quarter of play, 6A football. As updates come up from around the state of Illinois, we'll do our best to keep you updated. The 6A class is loaded, and when there are breaks in action, we will talk about some of those teams that are in this 6A bracket for both Normal West and Washington. There is a pitch as Borges around the right side. Borges still on his feet, and he is knocked out of bounds violently, but Borges picks up another first down as he goes around the right end.
Good run by Borges. The blocking is great, and you know the Panthers are finding some success getting on the perimeter and getting outside. I know they're hitting it good up inside with the guards and the tackles right now, but on the perimeter they're finding some daylight there.
So last week against East Peoria, Washington rushed for 344 total yards, barely passing the football. In fact, just passing it 2 times. Coach Crouch right now is in that mood to play some just smack it in your mouth football, and Borges goes right around that left side, and he is close to another Panther first down, as the methodology behind Washington football tends to be we are going to run it, and you might hang with us, but by the third or fourth quarter, exhaustion sets in.
If it's working, don't leave it. And right now it is working. And this is a good situation for Washington. I mean, 2nd and 1. The first possession, you looked at 2nd and 10, 3rd and 11. These are situations now where if you do want to throw the ball, you can get Burlett out of the pocket, rolling out, and he can maybe run for that first down, or it's a short throw.
Coach, this strategy keeps Zebarth off the field. It keeps Mangrum off the field. It keeps Jamarcus Webb off the field, and it's allowing Washington's offense right now to really keep time of possession. There are 2 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock, and that is yet another Washington first down. Tonight is a special night here in the press box. We are joined not only by Charlie Schermerhorn operating the camera. We've got Coach Bauer, the best color man. I call him Tony Romo when he's not around. We're also joined by the great IT man. Caleb Baumgarten is right behind me, making sure this broadcast is good to go. Thank you for your dedication, Caleb. And tonight's super special. We have the lead statistician, not Chuck Bruner tonight. It's Dan Walter is up here with stats right by us, so we'll give you updates throughout. This is Borges around the right side, and Borges is hauled down on the play.
Great pursuit by Normal West.
That was number 54, Coach. That was number 54, Laurel Fisher, with very good pursuit as Borges could not escape him. Yet to see a flag here tonight. This is something that we just mentioned. This was and has been an Achilles heel of Washington football this year. But tonight, right now, playing very flawless and playing very focused. The first 2 possessions, if you're just joining us, Normal West went 3 and out. Washington went 3 and out. This is now Washington's second possession, and they are marching down the field behind an offensive line and number 22, senior running back Thomas Borges. Dylan Wart, we're not keeping stats quite yet. I haven't heard an update, but I do believe Wart might be up to about 7 or 8 tackles, and we're at 1 minute and 20 seconds here in the first.
And what a drive for Washington. I mean, this is probably chewed up about, what, Coach, 6 to 7 minutes on the clock. Normal West has to use a timeout. you keep their defense on the field, at some point, those defensive linemen, those linebackers, they get tired. No matter if it's hot or cold, they get tired. And right now you can see Washington's offensive line is just going right at them, and you can tell that might have been a tired timeout.
Coach Fincham talked about the philosophy that he looks at Washington, or just for his own foundation of defense. They don't want to chase ghosts, and he said that he wants to figure out what Washington hangs their hat on, and that's what they're going to focus on, and that's what they're going to stop. He predicted this.
He did.
He said that there would be power I. He said that 22 was going to be Washington's focal point. He said that early on they wanted to be ultra aggressive, and they wanted to be overly physical. So Coach Fincham knew what Washington was going to do. In that first series, they were well prepared. And here is the power I again, as Burlett, yet to pass in this game. Looks left, he looks back right, and Burlett now takes the snap. There's a fumble on the play. There are whistles on the field. This gives us an opportunity to introduce you to the white hat, the head referee, Blake Oren. He's from Highland, Illinois.
I think we had maybe a false start first.
Washington's coaching staff talked about how Norma West loves to fire off that ball. A focal point for the Panthers during the practice session was going on 2. Yep. Explain to the people at home what that means.
So they went with a hard count there, which I don't know what Burlett's typical cadence is, but he may give his first cadence, that one that snaps the ball, and that's not the one they're going to snap it on. Then the defense kind of gets used to that throughout the game, and then they jump. As soon as you get them to jump, that'd be a encroachment or offsides on the defense.
So when you say cadence, when I watch Peyton Manning as a young man, he would say Omaha. That would be cadence.
That's some sort of a read or a check that he was making. Great blocking on the outside.
You quarterbacks are so smart.
22, Thomas.
I've watched Charlie play Madden on PlayStation 5. I feel very intelligent just watching him do that sometimes. I feel like that's preparing me for these broadcasts.
Knocked out of bounds.
It's 4th down, ladies and gentlemen. 4th down now for Washington. 4th and 2. This is a big play. Will Paul Sporer be on, or will Noah Burlett stay on the field?
Into the wind, I think. Looks like they're going to stay on the field with the offense.
We've seen Sporer kick multiple times beyond 40. It is raining. It is against the wind here at Babcock Field. Maybe this is a time we see it go on 2 with that hard count you just talked about. I was wrong. Borges around the right. Borges threw a tiny hole, but he saw it. And that is a first down. This refereeing crew, the IHSA, is not messing around tonight. We have guys from Highland, Belleville, Auburn, Vandalia, and somewhere in Illinois is named Shipman, apparently. So this is quite a crew. These guys must have flown here just to get here today. Coach, do you know anything about Vandalia?
I played in a summer basketball tournament there.
Second capital of the state of Illinois.
Didn't know that.
Do you know the first capital?
Springfield.
Kaskaskia.
Whatever. Springfield's the current capital, so that's all that matters.
I found a man next to me. He seemed a little angry that he didn't know his Illinois state capitals. That was, again, Borges on the run. Second down.
Born in 86, so I don't know when.
In goal, 1986.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful year. I was in Mrs. Kennedy's 4th grade class at Willow Elementary. So we've got 2nd down and 4, and this is going to be the end of the first quarter, so both teams are going to have a long way to walk as they go to the other end. It is 0-0 at the end of the first. We appreciate you joining this broadcast on WCHS YouTube Athletics, this first round 6A playoff game. While we have a break in the action, this will be an opportunity to talk a little bit about the 6A bracket. Our lead researcher, Coach Zach Martin. Zach Martin is a sophomore basketball coach. Took some time out to type up for us some breakdowns of the brackets. So we, of course, are watching right now currently Washington and Norma West, but I find it very interesting exactly what this looks like and how all of this starts to pan out. You look at a team like Kenwood, 2 top 30 players in the state of Illinois. They are the 3 seed in the bracket. athletic. They've won a lot of football games. How do you see these two teams matching up, whichever one wins tonight against the Kidwood Academy?
Well, I mean, I think anytime you get to the second round of a playoffs, you're going to have a tough matchup. Kenwood, I probably haven't seen enough or any film on them. But I think if you can run the ball in the playoffs, I think you've got a shot to win.
Of course, in the South Region 2, Lamont, who is 9-0, averaging 44 points per game, and they are only giving up 9 points per game. This is a team with multiple Division I athletes, including a 6'7", 300-pounder that is heading off to Eastern Michigan, and another offensive lineman that's a 4-star athlete. So we'll talk more about those 6A brackets. Right now we're back to action. It's second down and goal from the 4-yard line. That is Borges. And Borges is stopped short of the goal line as he attempted to run right behind sophomore Henry Warwick, 5'11", 225-pounder. Coach Kyle Wisher praised his footwork, his mobility on the line. We've got multiple young offensive linemen on both sides of the football. Great programs oftentimes cultivate youth and put them around senior and junior leadership.
And those older guys then teach those younger guys exactly how it should be done, and it's fun to watch.
Burlett to B-Shide forward, and B-Shide is marked just short of Mapson. Isaac Mapson, the 6'6", 200-pound senior wide receiver, might have put on the old stripes out there and got themselves. He is a persuasive young man. And I think he just convinced that young man out there that that's a touchdown. Panthers go up 6-0.
Great second drive by the Panthers. You chew up a lot of time. You run the ball the whole time. No, don't throw a pass. Don't need to. Your offensive line steps up, makes the adjustments they need to, and just you allow Normal West to get one offensive possession in the first quarter. I'm sure that's how Dale Crouch would have drew it up if he could have.
So Spohr kicks the extra point. It is now 7-0 at the 11-11 mark in the second quarter. This game started off with a 3-and-out for both teams. Washington's offense came over, huddled up around the whiteboard. Offensive line huddled up around the whiteboard. Washington's offense goes back on the field and then systematically pounds that football all the way in for a score on senior Cade B-Shide's goal-scoring touchdown. It is now 7-0. Blake, what do you expect from Normal West? We've only seen them one time, 3 plays.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're still going to get a heavy dose of the run, but you may see a little bit more quarterback run with Jaden Mangrum here. I don't know that for sure, but I could see them maybe getting the ball in his hands more outside of the pocket.
Washington is on a 5-game winning streak. Spohr kicks off, and that is an end-over-end kick that easily goes out deep into the end zone. That ball was wind-aided, but Spohr has been doing that all season long. Paul Spohr is a phenomenal story. He is a young man that is very gifted in the classroom, as are so many of these kids that we'll be talking about tonight. He wants to be a guy that majors in data analytics, and Paul Spohr is a weapon. We have seen that from the very, very start, how important special teams are, field position. How many times, Coach, have we seen a team pick up at the 20 and have to go all the way down the field?
A lot, and Paul Spohr is he's a huge weapon. I can't call him a secret weapon anymore because he's not secret. He's a weapon now.
Trips right for Mangrum as he goes around the right side. Blake just predicted that he'd be running, and he is brought down by the emotional dynamite out there. Number 44, Jace Harlan. Harlan with his 50th tackle on the season. That boy loves to hit.
They tried to get Mangrum on the edge, and Washington got to the edge first. They set that edge, forced him back inside, right back to their linebackers.
Jace's older brother, Tucker Harlan, was a basketball player and a very gifted one. He always played with a little edge and physicality. Right there, little brother doing the same thing. As he is brought down in the backfield, that is number 39, Tyler Casey, who loves that wrestling mat. He can get people on the mat, and now he's showing he can get a running back in the backfield.
A loss of 2 again on the play. 3rd and 14.
The Panther fans are starting to hit those bleachers. Either they're trying to make noise or stay warm. Either way, it's working right now for Todd Stevens' defense. It is 3rd down and 14, 10 minutes on the clock. There is nobody in the backfield. It's an empty set. And it is a spread offense for the junior quarterback. He reaches back. There's big old Zebarth over the middle.
Right down the seam.
And that is a 1st down.
It's a good throw from Mangrum.
Coach, that's really interesting. Just watching there, it appeared that Tyler Richardson earlier in this action was with Zebarth. Right there, that was Cade Bescheid. Is that scheme? Is that something that we just noticed, or is that just a matchup that happened?
I think there's different matchups they want to get tonight. If he comes down the seam, I think Casey might take him. If they can get a different look, then they're going to put Bescheid on him.
It looks like Bescheid is lined up against him again, and there is Zebarth. Oh, that passes off Zebarth's hands and caught by number 21. And number 21 on the play is Matthew Marsaglia. That is not how they drew that play up.
But sometimes it doesn't matter how you draw it up as long as it works, right?
That is incredible concentration by Matthew out there as he was able to bring that ball in. That is now the 2nd time that we've seen Bescheid. I want you to think about something, and then you tell me if I'm a complete fool. If Bescheid is lined up against 81 out there in the middle of nowhere, does that take him out of the guts of that defense now? And does that open up the middle for Mangrum to run a little bit more?
It does. It does. So here's a situation where you've got spread, you've got an empty backfield. Do you see some quarterback draw?
So Mangrum's in the backfield. There he goes. He's going deep. He's got a man. And that ball is caught by number 81. And that is, again, the ISU bound tight end, Max Zebarth.
With the reception.
Zebarth held offers from Bucknell. He held an offer from Eastern Illinois, and he decided to follow in his father's footsteps, who was a 3-year all-conference person himself at Illinois State University, as his dad was an outstanding player for the Redbirds in Normal. Zebarth is one of those kids that was self-motivated, according to Coach Fincham. 2-sport athlete, a basketball player, been starting since his sophomore year, and now he's making a couple plays out here against the Panther defense.
Yeah, during the pandemic, Coach Fincham said he was the kind of the leader of their team. He was the one that was working all the time.
The pandemic proved something to us as coaches. Self-motivated guys could really improve during that 18 months or 11 months, whatever it was. There's our first penalty against Normal West. The crew tonight in action out there. The back judge from beautiful Shipman, Illinois, is Kevin Wallace. From our second capital, Blake Bauer. From Vandalia's Jay Smith. From Auburn is Mike Dobson. Jeff Harris all the way from Belleville. And Blake Oren's Highland. If these guys need to drive home, I've got some suggestions for them. I'm a big fan of Brickhouse.
Me too.
Stop at Brickhouse, fellas. If you're driving back down south, that would be a great place, even though Highland did not have a restaurant for us after the game in week number 1, and we ended up eating at Denny's in Litchfield. Then Belleville, that was Coach Bauer that just went, to Denny's. They are not an official sponsor of Denny's.
They are not an official sponsor.
Brickhouse is a good one, fellas. I think Kep's would be a good one. Maybe they could split up and go over and get themselves a big old tenderloin from Kep's. And then right across the street, you had Michael's tonight.
I did.
I had Michael's. Who doesn't love a Mike sub?
Everybody loves a Mike sub.
And the cameraman starts pointing at himself. Charles Schermerhorn had Michael's tonight. Let's get back to action now. We've got 2 wide receivers out to the right. That is Mangrum up the middle now, scrambling, and he is hit, but he is brought down just short of the first down. It's 2nd down and 2. So the Normal West offensive line behind Dylan Duval, and then you've got Jorzak, Upton, Teller, and Barnett out there. You've got a lot of mixing and matching going on that offensive line. You have Nick Barnett, who started the year at center, moved to guard. Teller started the year at a different offensive line position and was moved to center. And, of course, the 2 sophomores were inserted next to the senior Duval.
Sorry, Coach, and now you're seeing Zebarth move around a lot. So now he's to the left side of your screen here, and he's with Drew Lewis.
And that is a
great tackle.
Outstanding play by number 8 for the Panthers. That is Jack Lemus on the play.
Tripped up in the backfield by number 8, Jack Lemus.
Zebarth, in the film we watched, played nearly every single wide receiver position. They moved him from X, they moved him from Y, they put him in the tight end spot. Is there a method to that madness? What are they doing that for?
Can they find the right matchup with him? They want to see who's going to match up with him on the outside, who's going to match up with him in the slot, because now he's probably matched up with somebody else.
3rd down and 13 for the Wildcats, 6 minutes and 30 seconds, a big 3rd down. Mangrum looks left, he comes back right, and that pass is incomplete. Phillips with pressure on the junior quarterback. It is going to be 4th down and a good distance, 13 yards to go. This ball is currently on the 36-yard line, and we'll get now a good feel for Coach Fincham as the punting crew is on. If this was Peoria High, we'd be seeing them go for it. Here we have Normal West out of the Big 12, and they are going to kick. Miscommunication on the Washington sideline, and there is a timeout on the field.
I think if you're Coach Fincham, though, that's a good bounce-back drive. You kind of found some success. You thought you might have to run the ball a lot with the rain. He found a lot of success throwing the ball, especially to his tight end, number 81. So nice to see his team bounce back. He's got to be happy with that. Even though they're punting and they're not scoring out of this, they put together a good drive, got into Washington territory. Now they make Washington go a long field if they want to score.
So we talked a little bit about the strategy, and now I want to shift back to the playoff picture. So Champaign Centennial 5-4 playing Kenwood currently right now. Kenwood is a super, super talented football team. However, they have only played 2 playoff teams on their entire schedule. Normal West enters this game at 6-3, and all 3 losses were to playoff-bound football teams.
Correct. They've played a tough schedule, so you know they've been tested throughout the year.
Normal West is punting. Back to receive the kick. That is number 3, Tyler Richardson. That is typically number 4, Drew Lewis back there. And that ball will come to a rest at about the 16-yard line. So Daryl Crouch's offense is back on the field. He's joined on the sidelines by an outstanding coaching crew. Varsity quarterback coach Zach Davis. When I arrived at 5 o'clock today, walking through the Pantherplex, Coach Davis was tutoring his boys on the whiteboard, going over offensive schemes and perhaps the defensive looks that Normal West is going to give them. Big shout out to varsity assistant Rob Garcia. He's in his 11th year, runs 4 verticals here in town, a privately owned business. This kid and this guy can just coach football. They love him. The kids absolutely love him. They play hard for him. He's a wide receiver guru. And this is Burlett now handing back off to Borges. And this is like a copy machine. Repeat. And repeat and repeat.
He just runs so hard. He keeps his feet moving. He keeps those legs just chopping, and he gets those extra yards.
I have a theory that Daryl's wearing shorts tonight. He's very cold, and he knows if he keeps on running the football, this game will be shortened up, and it'll be in the nice warm temperatures of wherever they go for postgame. So Burlett now under center. That's the first year Burlett has been the quarterback of this team. Last year, this football team had a shortened season. Burlett did not see much action, and now he has virtually been the only quarterback under center. In fact, he has thrown the football 116 times. The only other person to actually complete a pass on this team is basketball player junior Jake Stewart, who is 1 for 2. So this football team is ran by quarterback Noah Burlett.
He's the leader, and his progression from week 1 to week 9 and now week 10, he's just made great strides as a leader, and you could tell he's so confident back there now.
Noah in the interview confessed that Dunlap was a low point, but he felt like he went back to school and got a lot better after that in practice. There's Borges, and Borges is wrapped up by 2 or 3 defenders. And number 62, that time for Normal West, Caleb Gibbs. There are 2 Gibbs out there on the field. Caleb Gibbs, number 62, is a big-time worker in practice, according to the coaching staff, and the kid loves Friday nights. And he's also got a brother out there, Drake, number 60. The Panthers now looking at a 3rd down and 1. There is 4 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock.
3rd and 1. They're in the I formation. They got Beachide as the lead blocker.
And he is hit. and hit very quickly behind the line. Borges is going to come up short. It's going to be 4th down and 2, and it's Paul Sporer time.
So this is where Normal West bobbled that snap earlier on their first punt. This is also important. The snap to the punter. Can they grab that ball? Can Sporer get that kickoff and not bobble it? Because this is where they got to be clean here in the special teams game. Oh, it's a fake.
It's a fake. That is number 19, and there is the trickery from Washington Community High School as number 19, Evan Grazier with the reception. Paul Sporer did not use his foot that time. Paul Sporer used his arm.
When you 48-yard line. First down, Washington.
I don't know, if that was Sporer that made the throw or if that was the up back. Who was it? Was it Sporer?
I was just shocked that we did it. Coach Walter, who do we have throwing that pass? He's the best stat man. He's the best stat man in the press books. That was Tyler Richardson on the pass. Leads the team in interceptions, and now that is Borges around the left, and Borges stepped out of bounds. Now I want you to think of the irony what I was just talking about. Burlett, 164 pass attempts. He's got every completion except Jake Stewart had a completion, and now we got Tyler Richardson. We were on the same page with the coaching staff.
It's the playoffs. Why not?
Might
as well fake it.
That's why he's the best color man in football.
I felt like the guy from what's the Waterboy?
Waterboy, Bobby Boucher.
What did that announcer say multiple times? And he's like, "We know."
It's only funny to us. We apologize to the 4 viewers at home right now listening to this broadcast. To our wives and our 2 kids, thank you very much. We have another timeout on the field. There's 3 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock. Washington is now winning 7-0. If you're just joining, first quarter, it was 3 and out for both teams. Washington's second possession, they stormed down the field behind their offensive line and the fancy footwork of Thomas Borges. Bescheid was rewarded. If this was fantasy football, Bescheid stole those 6 points from Borges. And then Normal West came out. Coach Bauer talked about a nice possession, marched down the field, got to the 36, however, did not finish the drive. Washington was stopped then on their third possession, but then Tyler Richardson with the up back came out, found number 19, and indeed number 19, Evan Grazier, with the reception in the first down. Let's go out of the power eye now. Burlett under center. Bescheid is the fullback. Borges is the tailback. Mapson in motion. And this is Borges on a pass. That is Mapson wide open. And the play was there. You could see.
Yep.
This is the fun part of our job. When I interviewed the football players, the second reference, I apologize, Dr. Freeman, during homeroom, they talked about that very play right there and how they were going to bring that baby out. Mapson just missed by Borges. Now that would have been something. You would have had Burlett, Stewart, Richardson, and Borges. We need to predict who the next guy is that's going to throw a pass. I got my money on Drew Lewis, number 4. Speaking of Drew Lewis and Isaac Mapson, we have not said Drew Lewis's name much tonight, but we have indeed said Borges's, as Borges is brought down, and there is number 62 playing with a little edge out there. That's fun to watch as Caleb Gibbs rips Borges down to the ground. Physical football on a Friday night. There is still a drizzle. Here at Babcock Field with 3 minutes and 10 seconds left on the clock. It is 3rd down and 6. Darryl Crouch now calling in the play. The Panthers coming into this game at 7-2, riding a 5-game winning streak. And this has been the theme in this winning streak. Rushing, and more rushing. There is play action. He has got his man wide open in the flat. That is senior Cade Bescheid. And Bescheid is tripped up by number 11, Brock Lehnerman, the linebacker who was praised by the Normal West football staff. A touchdown-saving tackle for
Yes,
Lehnerman.
touchdown saving. Beachside had a lot of space out in front of him and just got tripped up. Good tackle by Lehnerman.
Bescheid was about ready to become a fantasy player again there. If he could have gotten his second score, that would have been 12 easy points. I've refused to pick him up for some reason. I couldn't find him on my waiver wire the other day. So Burlett, with the play action fake, the first pass of the game for Burlett, but we've seen Richardson now pass, we've seen Borges now pass, and Burlett now out of the I formation. This is Mapson near us, and there is a timeout on the field for the Washington Panthers. A good opportunity to talk a little bit about this football team that we have seen. A football team that, like so many in the state of Illinois, persevered through one of the oddest and weirdest seasons last year. Normal West, a young football team developing rapidly. Their coach talked a lot. Coach Fincham talked a lot about what they did. And I love the fact when Coach Fincham talked about things that we did too.
Yep.
Videotaping yourself working out. I remember there was one day, Coach Bauer, I videotaped myself on the driveway doing a jump rope workout. I would hope in the rest of my coaching career I never have to do another video of myself working out and sending it to our guys, trying to inspire them to work through isolation and quarantines. But both of these football teams had remarkable stories of both coaches talking about self-motivated kids.
And that's, the pandemic, I think, brought on a lot of negative things, but it also brought on a lot of positive stuff. And I tell you what, it shows how resilient these kids are. I think it shows how mentally tough they are, to fight through all that.
It is definitely an enjoyment to watch a full, as that is Borges. Just powering down. That is all Borges with Normal West guys hanging left and right off of him. He takes it inside the 5.
I think Borges took the first possession personally, and now he's running angry.
The 5 to the 4-yard line. First single.
Normal West defense now trying to take a hold here, make a hold in the red zone. This is typically in dry weather Isaac Mapson area.
Right.
But this is probably going to be Kiade Bescheid or Thomas Borges area. Washington now taking their time as the clock continues to trickle down. It is at 1:35. It is first down and goal from the 4 out of St. Pat's Elementary School. Noah Burlett. There is the pitch to Borges. Borges around the left.
Touchdown.
And the Panthers are up 13-0. As the Washington faithful are on their feet, and the Panthers have come out on home turf with a 13-0 lead as Paul Spohr comes on for the extra point. Spohr leads the Panthers in total points. He's at 46 on the season, 28 extra points. He has only missed 1 on the season. Here's the snap. Richardson's the holder, and Spohr's kick is through the uprights and good. 2 touchdowns to 0. You could not have scripted this better for Darryl Crouch's Panthers.
I mean, he's the time of possession right now for the Panthers. I don't have the exact stat, but it's so one-sided. And Coach Crouch, like you said, he couldn't have scripted it any better. I mean, 2 long possessions capped off by 2 touchdowns.
1 minute and 24 seconds left on the clock. This is a Normal West team that is explosive and dynamic. They have playmakers all over the field. Max Zebarth has already shown himself to be able to make some nice catches. We've already seen the quarterback Mangrum be able to throw the ball down the field. This is not safe at 1:24. They most likely will have nothing to lose as they try to get on the board.
No, and they've shown, like you said, they can make plays quick. I mean, they got Zebarth down the seam a couple times, and those 20, 25-yard gains, those can amount to points quickly.
So Spohr is on. The rain is starting to cease just a bit. Easy to say as you sit in a press box perfectly dry and toasty. Spohr with the kickoff. And it is, again, an end-over-end kick as it goes all the way out of the end zone in the air.
Goes through the end zone for a touchback.
The weapon.
Ball out to the
1:24 on the clock. He is not Cody Parkey, that is for sure. Who's Notre Dame have this weekend?
North Carolina. Talk about a mobile quarterback in Sam Howell. I mean, that's going to be a tough one for him to defend. And it's kind of the same as Jaden Mangrum. You know, can they stop the quarterback run? That's going to be a huge part of the game.
And here is Jaden Mangrum with no running back. It's an empty set. Down by 2 scores. Let's see Normal West mentality. And we have a timeout on the field. And that timeout by Todd Stevens.
They saw something they didn't like. Something was off, whether it was personnel that was in the game.
Has Coach Fincham seen something that he does like with this empty set?
Yeah, it gets him spread, and it looks like it's getting him in single coverage. If you can get Z-Barth in single coverage, you take that chance every time.
When we were prepping for this game, watching the Normal community game that Normal West lost 45-7, on that opening drive, Mangrum hit Z-Barth on about a 20-some-odd yard catch. And what was amazing about the catch, the concentration, the focus, it was double coverage.
It was a great throw from Mangrum, and he put it to where only his guy could catch it or nobody. So Mangrum's got some. He can put some touch on the ball, and he's got accuracy.
So the D-line for Washington, there are 3 of them out there now. It's a 3-4 defense, and there is Mangrum, and he keeps it, and he is brought down at the 20. There is no gain. Jack Lemus, number 8. In the 2020 season, Jack Lemus was the running back. Jack Lemus now out here on defense. Find a role, be a superstar in the role, be selfless, and do what you have to do.
Lemus has had a few games at the running back position where was it the Metamore game? I think he scored that final touchdown. So he kind of does what he has to do. He finds spots, and he's been good.
Mangrum looks right. He stays right. He keeps, and he is hit, and hit hard on the play.
Great pursuit.
That is number 85, Noah Hoogerwerf, with his 7th sack on the season. That leads the Panthers. And now it is 3rd down and 13 with just under 30 seconds on the clock. Let's see if Normal West just lets this thing go out. They walk into that locker room, talk about what they need to do, and then they will come out in the second half and receive the opening kick.
They're going to have to snap the ball because the play clock's at 9 and the game clock's at 12. They're about 5 seconds off here.
Max Z-Barth is in motion. There's 3 out to the left, and there is number 2 as he's around the end. He is still on his feet, and he is finally brought down as that's Jono Edmondson. That was the last play of the first half. And the Washington Panthers. The Washington Panthers, a team that has been a perennial powerhouse in the Mid-Illini, conference champion in the Mid-Illini, going up against number 2 in the conference of the Big 12, which of course is Normal West, is now walking into halftime with a 14-0 lead. We are going to take a break in the action, and we will be back in about 10 minutes to talk and break down the stats from the first half, discuss keys to the second half, and bring you live action from Babcock Field. 14-0, Washington leading Normal West.
Are required to make all state series contest sites and any affiliated property, including parking lots, fan
We are back live from Babcock Field, joined by Coach Blake Bauer. And we are watching a 6:14 left on the clock here at halftime. Both teams are still in the locker room. We want to break down some statistics from the first half, and here we go. Thomas Borges, Coach Bauer, take a guess. Total yards for Borges.
130.
131 yards. That's why he's the best color man in football. 25 attempts, 131 yards for Borges. Washington dominated the first half when it came to time of possession. The ball was in the hands of Noah Burlett and his offense for nearly 16 minutes. Normal West had that ball for just 6. We also have leading tackler in the game, Dylan Wart, who the Normal West coaching staff praised, and their praise was 100% warranted. 4.5 tackles in the first half, and one of them a sack. Outstanding young man, number 44, Jace Harlan, made some impact plays. 2 tackles for losses. As for other halftime totals, the Normal West offense ran a total of 14 plays, and they averaged 3.7 yards per carry and just 52 total yards of offense. The Panthers, 31 plays, 158 total yards, nearly 5 yards per play. Washington was able to pick up multiple first downs throughout that first half, and we now can look at the other statistic that is really starting to stand out, though, and it's a stat that both teams take pride in. Coach Fincham talked about Washington wanting to come out to run it. Coach Crouch's team knew they were going to run it. Coach, did you predict this? Did you think Washington would come out power eye, 2 tight ends, Isaac Mapson leading wide receiver, Drew Lewis playmaker, not even touching the football, and they are just running between the tackles?
Yeah, I think, especially with the weather, and Coach Crouch anyways, he would have wanted to come out and just establish his run game. And once he found success in that, after that first drive, once he found success in the second drive, there was no going away from it. He had to keep going what was working.
The mantra at Washington for the football team, and we saw it on Thursday, it's pouring down rain. It's after school. Torrey Gym was available. The West Gym was available.
Yep.
A roof was available. And Washington High School went out on a turf and practiced in just a colossal downpour. It was a monsoon, and Daryl Crouch's football team was preparing for tonight.
Yep.
This is what it is. I don't know where Normal West was at. Perhaps they were practicing on a grass field. We do have turf. Maybe that's a luxury that Washington has.
Sure.
But definitely interesting to know that toughness is a mindset in Washington for Daryl Crouch, and he said nobody's special. Let's just go out.
Absolutely.
We're going to play in it, so we might as well practice in it.
If you want to play good in it, you got to practice in it. You got to be able to adjust to your weather conditions, and you do that through practice.
We're looking forward to a second half as the officials come back on, but it is also a meaningful time that we would like to take just a second, with about 3 minutes left before the second half starts, to talk about an amazing event here at Washington that's going to be coming up in November. And we are looking at November 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th. That's Thanksgiving week, ladies and gentlemen. The City of Washington, sponsored by Country Financial, held up by Uftring Auto Group, multiple sponsors such as Washington Community Bank, Teamworks, Countryside, so many great people out there in the city of Washington supporting this tournament. Indeed, it is the Tournament of Champions. It's Kevin Brown Memorial Tournament of Champions. And Coach Bauer, there is quite a crew coming to Washington, sir.
Loaded.
So let's start quizzing the people out there. The text lines are open, so that's really only people that know Coach Bauer and I, as I've been told I can't give my cell phone out over there. If you can name players that have played in the Tournament of Champions in the city of Washington, then we will start to open that up right now to the listeners out there. So start the text messages. Let's see what we have coming in. As for the tournament this year, states represented, Florida, with a phenom coming in. Donato is a young man from Life Christian Academy that plays with only one arm, Coach. This kid is phenomenal. He can play. He is athletic, and it is going to be fun to watch Life Christian Academy.
It's incredible to watch him play and do the things he can do with one arm.
in the National Classic that is brought to us by Uftring Auto Group, you are looking at over 45 potential Division I players in a 6-team tournament. As for the tournament that Washington's going to be in, led by seniors Andrew Coker, Drew Lewis, and Isaac Mapson, 2 of those guys out here right now, you are looking at the Washington Invitational brought by the City of Washington, something even more amazing. In the very first game for the Panthers, they are playing Yorkville Christian with a 4-star athlete, Jaden Shute, who is going to Duke University.
It's going to be a tremendous challenge, but, I mean, we wouldn't want to start the year off any other way, would we?
Absolutely not. As for some of the work of this, it is done by Mr. Sean Powell, who is on the text line already. The phone is starting to blow up here. Sean Powell is the mastermind behind bringing some of these teams to the beautiful city of Washington. And Sean is informing me right now that his mother lives in Shipman, Illinois. That is an absolute amazing coincidence. That is where official Kevin Wallace is from. Here I am. I'm apologizing to you, Mr. Powell, for even somewhat ridiculing Shipman, Illinois. I meant no offense by it. I had no idea your mother was there. And the texts are in. Anthony Davis indeed played in the TOC. Zion Williamson is yet another one that played in the TOC. They are coming in right now fast and furious. Coach Bauer, you have not always been a Washington guy. Can you name anybody? The long pause. I put him on the spot.
Reggie Bullock.
Reggie
who played
Bullock
at
yes.
North Carolina, right?
Indeed. Coach Kevin James from Washington Middle School is now coming in. Kevin James, Tyler Hero is correct. Tristan Thompson. Charlie Shermorn, I'm putting you on the spot. Cameraman, can you come up with somebody that played in the TOC quickly? Indeed, LA Lakers' Anthony Davis did play in.
You are tonight's winning 50-50.
Koch Barr, although not an NBA player, Koch Barr did. Bradley University, Koch Barr. It's a fun little game we've opened up here.
Andrew Wiggins.
We've got Andrew Wiggins, Canadian Andrew Wiggins. So the teams are back out on the field. We are just about 2 minutes away as we took a little time out to talk a little bit about the Kevin Brown Memorial Tournament of Champions. If you have the opportunity, what an event. Make your way to Washington. It starts on Tuesday, Thanksgiving week. It works all the way through Saturday. It is a highlight for the city. It's a highlight for Central Illinois. Teams from Colorado. We've got teams coming in from Georgia. We have teams from South Carolina, Florida, North Carolina, Indiana, Wisconsin, and, of course, the great state of Illinois. Back to football we go, and football is here. Washington will be kicking off to the Normal West Wildcats, and the Wildcats, with 1 minute left before we start, the Wildcats coach, will they come out throwing? Are they going to come out and try to establish a running game with Edmondson? What's your prediction?
I don't know what they're going to do, but they've got to establish something. This is a key drive for them to move the ball, and really I think it's a huge drive in the sense of I think they got to score. As much as Washington is controlling the time of possession now, I mean, you talk about 3 possessions for each team in the first half. Your possessions right now, they look limited. So when you have the ball, you got to put points on the board. They got to establish something. Whether it's the run or the pass, they're only down 2 touchdowns. So it's not an insurmountable number to make up. But they've got to score when they have the ball.
We were very impressed with the Normal West coaching staff when we talked to Coach Fincham in that 45-minute interview during our prep period. He was so organized. He was so cerebral. He could really just you could see that he had a strategy mapped out. The things that he said on that telephone interview have happened out here on this football field. Yeah. We are seeing the very things he talked about. Now it comes down to execution. Can Washington get the job done? Can Normal West execute and get the ball to Zebarth? There is the kick. It's a line drive kick. It is received by the Wildcats. Across the 20, 25, 30. He is gone. He is on his feet at the 50, at at the 45 and brought the
ball's out,
fumble.
the ball's out.
There was a fumble on the play at the 45 when an action-packed first 15 seconds of the second half, and Normal West comes out with a kickoff return. And the Panthers are now
Number 88, Seth Harbaugh.
on the field as Carball with a touchdown-saving tackle.
Carball, great tackle, and to force a fumble. I know it was recovered by Normal West, but if you're Normal West, you couldn't ask for anything better to start the half. A long kick return, short field, that gives you the spark you need.
Normal West showing a brand new formation as that is now up the middle. That's Mangrum on the run. That might have been Jono Edmondson on a direct snap.
A little wildcat.
There's the adjustments. Well-coached teams go into halftime. Well-coached teams come out of halftime. And not a wrinkle. Perhaps plan B, maybe plan C for all we know.
Yep.
Just finding a way to execute. There it is again out of the Wildcat. That's Jono Edmondson. Edmondson up the middle, around the right. And the wrinkle is indeed starting to work as that is a Normal West first down as point guard Jono Edmondson, who we had a good dose of in June at a Normal West shootout, a live event in front of NCAA basketball coaches. He and Division I recruit Drew Lewis, number 4 on the football field, number 4 on the basketball court that plays for the Panthers. He and Jono Edmondson went at each other nonstop that entire game. There is Edmondson again. This time he misdirects back to the left, and he is brought down on cue, number 4, Drew Lewis.
Yep. So, and part of what I'm thinking, too, for this adjustment is Washington's defense was playing so fast and blasting through that line so quick that this takes away the mesh point. This makes it quicker for him to hit the hole instead of having to go with the fake. That takes time. This doesn't allow Washington to get in the backfield as quick.
This broadcast is a football broadcast, but the text messages are pouring in right now about the Kevin Brown Memorial Tournament champions. Amir Garrett, a Major League Baseball player, played in the TOC, according to Roby. There he is around the left, Edmondson. So halftime talk, pretty easy to predict.
I got another one. Quentin Grimes.
Quentin Grimes, very good. That's a very recent one.
41 Phillips and 13.
Kansas recruit turned Houston basketball player.
Down to the 22.
Played for Kelvin Sampson at Houston. So it is now third down and 5, 10 minutes and 8 seconds, third quarter. Normal West coming out and playing a completely different second half. Out of the direct snap to the running back, Jono Edmondson. Edmondson
I think he fumbled
down.
No.
And we
all indications look like he fumbled it, and Washington was pretty sure that he fumbled it, and they said they had it, but
all Washington needed was Isaac Mapson on the field. He could have talked to the official like he did on that touchdown down there. Perhaps it would have been a fumble recovery for the Panthers. Fourth down and 6.
You got Mangrum back on the field now.
There's Z-Barth coming out to the left. He's on the bottom of your screen as you're watching at home on this live stream, brought to you by Caleb, our great IT guy standing directly behind me, dedicating himself to making sure this is working and working just well for all of you watching at home. There is a false start against the Wildcats. Fourth down and going to be 12 now for Normal West.
It's a crucial penalty in this spot.
In the first half, we saw Normal West drive much like this, get to about the 35, the 36, and they stalled. A self-inflicted wound there now makes it fourth down and long with 9 minutes and 15 seconds on the clock at Babcock Field. Mangrum now with nobody in the backfield with him. He throws the ball out, and that ball is incomplete as Mangrum was hit after he threw. There are no flags on the play.
Yeah, he didn't have a lot of time there. Mangrum didn't. The rush, they blitzed both inside linebackers. Mangrum had to get rid of the ball quick, and Jono was not expecting that ball to be coming to him.
That is something that Coach Fincham liked about Mangrum is his quick decision-making skills, his ability to get the ball out and get the ball very quickly to one of those threats on the outside. That time, Todd Stevens, defensive coordinator, rolled the dice, came after Mangrum, and it paid off for Washington. Power I, Borges. Borges' 26th carry on the game, and we are just starting the third quarter. If you're joining us, this is Blake Bauer on color. Charlie Schermerhorn is doing the camera work and doing a fine job. It is closely approaching his bedtime. I'm just kidding you, Charles. Caleb is standing right behind us. He's our IT guru. And Coach Walter working stats for the Panthers on the sideline. 2nd down and 9, 8 minutes and 30 seconds in this first round 6A playoff football game. Both of these teams attempting to advance to the 2nd round. Barlett with the pitch. Borges still on his feet. Bishide, the lead blocker. We've seen that for 9 straight games. Make this the 10th. There is a flag on the play on the Normal West sideline.
There is a penalty marker on the play.
Buddy Heald is correct. He indeed played in the Tournament of Champions. They just continue to pour in. I've got all the time in the world. We've had over 60 NBA players in that baby. 8 minutes on the clock, 14-0. 3rd quarter of play for the Panthers. We're looking at a 2nd down.
We'll bring up a 2nd and 12.
2nd and 12 for Washington. Decision time for Daryl Crouch now. 2nd and 12. Do we see play action here, Coach Bauer, or do we continue to see power running?
I think you see power run.
Single coverage on Mapson. 27 receptions on the season for Mapson, over 241 yards in receiving yards. But this time he's just blocking on the outside as Borges around the right and is brought down after a gain of 3.
Stopped by 11, Lienerman.
You get the run on that 2nd and 12 gives you a more manageable 3rd down. You can manage if you throw an incompletion there. Now it's 3rd and 12, but now you got a 3rd and 7. Your playbook becomes bigger in this point.
A big 3rd and 7 for Washington. 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Coach Crouch allowing plenty of time to go off the play clock as Burlett now comes out of the shotgun. He's got Bishide off to his right. That's Borges directly behind him. And that ball is pitched to Borges. Borges still on his feet. And Thomas Borges does not want this season to end.
It's a good play call. Read the end there. Burlett makes the right read. Nice pitch. Get Borges in space.
Borges is playing the last game of the year. He's playing like it's the last game of the year. He doesn't want to hold anything back.
We know.
Oh, it's a Waterboy reference.
We know. We know.
Thank you to the best State Farm agent in Washington. That's my guy, Jake Weston, letting us know. Jake, that's a lot of downtime in your life if you can actually remember Waterboy quotes from years and years and years ago. Here is Noah Burlett under center. Burlett back to Borges as he now goes over 30 rushes on the night.
Borges, the carry again for the Panthers.
And Washington is methodically now working the clock, adding to that halftime total of 16 minutes time of possession.
Possessions in this game are so precious, right? I mean, you look at Normal West, if Washington keeps doing what they're doing, they may not get the ball back in 3rd quarter.
This is Coach Crouch, former offensive lineman at ISU right now. He's just having an absolute dream night. This is probably his dream. Pound the football, run it between the tackles, tell those big offensive linemen to go get that job done.
Gain of 1.
And an offensive line that was much maligned early in the season. When early people talked about the season and talked about what might be happening, many of them would talk about that offensive line, the question marks behind it, anchored by center Jordan Martin and Jay Wireman and Case Foster. You've got Will Montgomery out there at certain times right now during this season. You got a lot of guys out there that are making a difference, especially sophomore Warwick, as now Lemus is brought down with absolute authority by about 4 or 5 Normal West Wildcats. I saw number 70 Tristan Glover out there. Number 71 Ben Jorzak on the play. That's Lemus losing 2.
That's a good stop for Normal West. Got to get the ball back here. You know, Washington faked it, the punt last time. I don't think they'll fake it again, but
how big of a play is that fake punt right
Huge.
now at this point? As that is a beautiful kick that will be touched at about the 19-yard line. So Normal West holds.
Yep.
Their offense comes back out. As a former quarterback, 3-year starter at Dunlap, 2-year starter, 1 game.
yeah, that's I was going to say. The 3-year starter thing's a little
Did it surprise you what Normal West did out there?
on their first possession. Well, Coach Fincham had to find something he thought was going to work. And like you said, if that's plan B or plan C, then, you know, he started to get the ball quicker up the field. And he talked about that earlier in the week as we want to get the ball out quick. We want to get to our athletes. We want to let them make a play. That's what he tried to do with the Wildcat in that first possession in the second half.
That is John O. Edmondson in motion. Mangrum keeps the ball, and Mangrum is wrapped up behind the line. That's going to be a loss of 1.
Jaden Mangrum.
The tempo is in favor of Washington. We've watched a lot of football. Quick pace is not always something. That was something that Kankakee did. They played at lightning speed. I remember the next morning waking up and reading articles about how fast Kankakee was. I was more intrigued at how fast they played. Every single play was off in 15 to 20 seconds. Here tonight, Normal West is really settling in, taking their time in between plays, which appears to be benefiting Washington. Brought down on the play, Mangrum, who scrambled one again. That was Phillips with the pressure in the backfield. Lemus was the one that ultimately tripped him up.
Yep.
And it's now 3rd down and about 6 for Normal West. The winner will advance to round 2 of the 6A playoffs and will play the winner of Centennial and Chicago Kenwood, who don't play until tomorrow at 2 o'clock on Saturday. Mangrum over the middle, and that pass is incomplete. Zebarth, who was limping at the end of the first half. Zebarth now taking seconds to get back up, and Zebarth now is limping off the field, or back to a huddle. It is now 4th down and 6, 3 minutes and 19 seconds on the clock. 4th and 6 for the Wildcats. We saw a fake punt earlier out of Washington that was converted when Tyler Richardson hit number 19, Evan Grazier. There's no fake punt here, as this ball now will come to a stop at about the 45-yard line, and the Washington Panther offense is back out on the field with 3 minutes on the clock.
Excellent field position for the Panthers. You continue to run the ball, run the clock, and hopefully here you get another touchdown.
So Nate Fincham from Colfax High School, just a little small town, 30 minutes outside of Normal. And his football team now, he's in his 4th year with an overall record of 26-13, 3 straight years in the playoffs. Of course, COVID does not count. So he is back in the playoffs. He is in a round right now against the middle line opponent. Coach, doing our research, I was absolutely intrigued by the fact these two football teams have never played each other.
Never played, being, 35 minutes apart.
There is Mapson with his first catch on the night, and Mapson is across about the 42-yard line, and Mapson's first touch is a first down as he gives a big old 5 to Noah Burlett. We live in a gym with Isaac Mapson from November all the way to March. We know his toughness, we know how competitive he is, but the thing that we love about Isaac the most is he is the ultimate teammate, and he wants to watch these guys win at all costs. I think Isaac would be perfectly fine playing an entire 48-minute football game, not touching that ball and winning however they need to win. Burlett now under center. It's a power I. Burlett with the toss. That is Borges and Washington right back to the run, and Bescheid again, the lead blocker. You got Bescheid in front, and it's almost like a snowplow in front of you.
Yep.
And boy, oh boy, does he get those legs going, and Borges can find that hole.
Beachside does a great job of clearing it out, and once Borges hits that hole, he can go. Borges gets a little break here.
So the Panthers continue to run that ball, and noticeable to us is number 6 out there on the field, Tanner Couples. He is a free safety a sophomore last year. He's really become a defensive leader. We are seeing him right now in on multiple tackles, which that would tell us that Borges is getting beyond that first wave, sometimes the second wave, and the safety's getting involved in some of this action.
And if you're not making tackles from the defensive front or that linebacking crew, you know, having safeties have to make plays, that's not a good thing for your defense, because that means you're getting 10 to 15 yards down the field.
Tanner Couples is the son of former Normal West Coach Couples, basketball coach. Tanner's a basketball player as well. It's the beauty of high school athletics. So many multi-sport athletes out here. Both teams with multiple basketball players, both teams with multiple wrestlers. I'm sure there's baseball players abound all over the place. That pass is off Mapson, and there is number 6, Tanner Couples, a very physical football player that can also shoot that basketball lights out. 4th and 3 here, Coach Bauer. 1 minute and 4 seconds on the clock, 2-touchdown lead. Do you kick the field goal? Do you punt?
You kick the field goal, because if he misses, I believe the ball goes to the 20 automatically.
That is correct, Coach. Way to know your rules. This will be a 51-yard attempt for Paul Spohr. This will be a school record if this is good. Spohr's kick is up. And it is just missed. It is just missed by Paul Spohr.
Wide right. Had the leg.
I was hoping for a Cody Parkey minute where you could just barely touch that upright, but instead of bouncing out, I was hoping that baby was going in. That ball had the distance, so.
Yeah, it did.
That's knowing the rules, knowing the book. Coach Crouch, that's a punt.
Yep.
If that ball goes in, it's 17-0, 3-possession football game. That is an incredibly heads-up play by Coach Darryl Crouch. 55 seconds now. Normal West will take over here in the third quarter at their own 20. The officials are talking to the press box as they are indicating that the time needed to change. It's back down to 59 seconds. Blake Oren from Highland, Illinois. That's where Morton's playing at tonight. And we hear that Morton is now leading 28-7 against Highland. Highland is the home of Dr. Freeman, superintendent of schools. Coach Bauer, did you happen to have a second today to talk to Dr. Freeman at school?
I did see Dr. Freeman.
Are you sure you saw Dr. Freeman?
Or was it Paul Blart?
I do believe it was Paul Blart.
The mall cop.
If you're a social media person, you've got to find it. Dr. Freeman dressed up as Paul Blart, and I do believe Paul Blart might have dressed up as Dr. Freeman for the other 78 days of school, because it was as much Paul Blart, Dr. Freeman. I've never seen anything like it. What was that fancy vehicle that man was driving around on today? You know that
I
thing
had
was
a name,
called?
and now I can't think of it.
It had 2 wheels. I'm not saying anything about Dr. Freeman, but one of the wheels was flat by the end of the day.
He moved really well on that thing, though.
He did. He was mobile and agile.
He was.
Here is now a shotgun, empty backfield for Mangrum. Zebarth is here, trips to the left. Mangrum looks. He's got Zebarth, and that ball is incomplete. It is very noticeable that number 81, ISU recruit, Max Zebarth, is limping. Late to get up off the ground. We talked about it at halftime, although it was not on the air, I must confess. But we both noticed in the first half that with about 5 to 6 minutes left, he was definitely limping in between plays.
A segue. That's what it's called. Sorry, I didn't mean to. That's what Dr. Freeman was on, a segue. Thanks, Coach Stu.
Must be on the beach right now just Googling things like segways in the 85-degree weather. That ball is going to be touched at about the 45-yard line.
Yeah, and you talked about Zebarth. You know, when you get a player that's that good, you want to see him at his best, and he's noticeably limping. You know, something's obviously not right. I don't know if it's a hamstring, leg, whatever it is, but you know, you feel for the kid in a playoff game, which is always could potentially be your last game. You want him to be at full strength, and you want to be healthy. hopefully whatever he's got, whatever injury he has, he heals up quick.
There's 12 minutes left on the clock. We are now going into the fourth quarter. The winner will go on to play the winner of tomorrow's game being played at Chicago Kenwood. Chicago Kenwood now a proverbial powerhouse in basketball and also very good at football. They're 8-1. They have a super talented team. Kenwood has 2 top 30 players in the state of Illinois. Diego Oliver is already committed to Eastern Illinois, and standout wide receiver Jaleel Martin, somebody that you should definitely Google. Kenwood has not played the toughest schedule. In fact, they've only played 2 playoff teams, but they are a team that whoever wins this game is going to see an opponent like they've probably not seen the entire season.
Yep.
There is Burlett passing, and that ball is intercepted. That ball is intercepted at about the 47-yard line as Burlett, who has rarely passed tonight, is picked off for only the 6th time on the season. And the Normal West Wildcats at 11:51 have new life as they have the football, and they are in Panther territory.
Here's another chance now for Normal West. And they got to put points on the board here. This is a crucial one. I know I've said that the last 3 drives, but now you get into the fourth quarter, this becomes really big.
It's an empty backfield for the Wildcats. That's Mangrum. Now in the empty backfield, Normal West with 5 wide receivers. They look at their sideline as Nate Fincham calls in the play. The Panthers will need a stop. This could be a turning point in the football game if Washington gets a stop after a turnover. That ball is thrown and is out of bounds as he was attempting to find senior Jamarcus Webb, and he overthrows Webb.
He overthrew him. He had him, too.
How often do we see that turnover and then quick strike out of the other team? In baseball, I would say, guy makes a spectacular catch. If he comes up first the next inning, I might seriously intentionally walk that guy because that ball might be hit 400 feet.
You got the momentum. You know, you might as well take a shot there.
In motion, that is Edmondson. Mangrum throws it off the sideline. That ball was caught by somebody on Normal West. They got a little excited over there about it, but it was not in the field of play. It is now 3rd down and 10, 11 minutes and 43 seconds.
So one thing that I've noticed, too, throughout the night is the Washington defense has made Mangrum make quick decisions. He's getting a lot of pressure from up the middle from our linebackers, which is making him have to make quick throws, and his receivers sometimes aren't ready because he's got to get the ball out of his hand so fast.
Mangrum now with a big 3rd down and 10. Mangrum rolling out to the right, and there is the pressure that Blake was just talking about. Mangrum airs it out. That pass is caught by number 3, Wesley McLeod. The first time his name has been said tonight. Wesley McLeod is a 6'1", 165-pound senior. It is still 4th down. 4th down and 5.
To the 43-yard line, 4th and 5.
Prediction.
Normal West.
Punt or go?
Oh, they're going for it.
Watch the hard count here, perhaps, because it is 4th down and 5. There it was. Nobody budges, and Mangrum looks at the sideline. Tyler Richardson now matched up out there. Drew Lewis is on the Division I ISU-bound Max Zebarth. Mangrum does not even look at Zebarth. He goes over the middle, and that pass is caught by number 1, Jamarcus Webb on the catch.
Man, great throw from Mangrum, stepping up in the pocket, moving to his left. I got to throw across his body. Great catch, great throw.
Big-time players make big-time plays, and Jamarcus Webb, a talented basketball player that plays for Coach Haverman now, making a big-time play for Coach Fincham in the Normal West Wildcats. That's Edmondson, who does not take the ball as he is in motion. Mangrum kept it, and he is met.
And that's that mesh point that's going on. Is it's a little slow developing, and with that pressure, that's a hard. He's got to make a quick decision.
Connor Rose, the senior, with the big tackle. Now the pace is picking up. Normal West playing with a little bit more oomph here, a little more quickness in the play calls. Let's see if that pays off, as Kankakee had done that earlier in the season. And now they look back at the sideline. There is Edmondson now off to the right. Edmondson in motion. He looks to the right. He throws over the middle, and that is Jamarcus Webb on the catch, and Webb is brought down at the 10.
Complete by the Wildcats.
Mangrum was under duress in the backfield. He did hold his composure and got the pass out.
He did. Great job standing in there from Mangrum. He knew he was going to get hit. He held on, and made the right read. And when you blitz that heavy, you can leave the middle wide open, and that's what happened.
Number 4, Drew Lewis, now is off the field. He is in pain on the sideline. It's a right leg injury as he is now going to head trainer Kyle Gennart. And there is a timeout on the field.
Before we have the next play, we have a timeout, Washington.
14-0, 9 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock. It is first down and 10 from the 12. Jamarcus Webb, who was quiet in the first half, Jamarcus Webb with 2 very good catches. That last play, Coach Bauer.
Yep.
Edmondson in motion, comes to the right.
Yep.
Looked like it was going to be a backwards pass, almost like a bubble screen. I don't know what you'd call it.
Yep.
Sorry about the terminology there. Thank you.
Yep.
He stared at him for about a second and a half to design play, knowing that they were going to hit the seam over the middle.
Yeah, I would say yes, because Coach Fincham, he's seen the blitz. And if you get him in man coverage and you get the blitz, like I said, that middle's wide open up the seam. Made the right read, made a good throw. The deepest Normal West has been in Washington territory tonight. Can they capitalize on this?
This is it. Trips right. Edmondson in motion again. Edmondson off on the right. There's one-on-one coverage. And
touchdown.
That is a sensational pass and a sensational catch by Max Zebarth. And Normal West is on the board for the first time. It is 14-6. 14-6 Normal West. We saw that same action. Edmondson in motion. Edmondson on the right side of the field looking like a potential screen. And then back to Zebarth in one-on-one coverage. Lonesome Polecat, which we saw against Normal Community as we were watching film, now back in to extra point formation. And here is the kick from Owen Sen. It is up, and it is good. 14-7, 9 minutes and 23 seconds left on the clock. First round playoff football game. 6A football. Late October, Halloween weekend. This is what it's all about.
Doesn't get much better than this, does it?
How much did we miss this in a pandemic-shortened season where everything seems so abnormal? Good football teams, good baseball teams, good basketball teams, and abbreviated seasons over here and abbreviated seasons over there, empty bleachers everywhere. And now we got cool weather, a drizzle, and a good football game with 9 minutes and 23 seconds left.
John Gasperi, Bob O'Day, and Spencer Roosevelt.
So the Panthers will be tested as this is now a one-score football game. An excellent catch in the corner of the end zone. If you're just joining us, perhaps you can hit that rewind button as Division I recruit ISU-bound Max Zebarth was connected by Jaden Mangrum in the corner of the left end zone as Normal West now has cut the deficit to 7. Here is the kickoff by number 92, Owen Sen. It is a high kick, end over end, as Lemus is at the 20. Lemus stutters and is brought down at the 23.
Kickoff return by the Panthers.
Panther offensive line. Panthers Thomas Borges and Cade Bishai, quarterback Noah Burlett are back on the field for Darryl Crouch. Fourth quarter, 9 minutes and 16 seconds as Washington will most likely, Coach Power, do what now to try to close this game?
I think you'd continue running the ball. The last couple possessions you saw a few more pass attempts, and I think that's just because, why not? I mean, if the rain has stopped. The wind has died down a little bit. You can throw the ball a little bit there.
There is the run by Borges. He picks up a hard-earned 3 as he is hit by number 54. That is Laurel Fisher. Laurel Fisher is a junior, 5'11", 195-pounder for the Normal West Wildcats out of the Big 12 Conference. The Big 12 is an impressive conference in so many different sports. Their schedule was something. Starting off with 8A Power O'Fallon, who's in the playoffs, finishing up your season in Week 9 with rival Normal Community Ironmen. And that looked like one very good Normal Community football team that we were watching on film. There is Thomas Borges around the right. Borges still on his feet. And Borges is still on his feet. That is earning every single yard as Borges is close to that first down marker.
He's just such a tough runner. He just
and it
keeps
is
those
a first
feet
down.
moving.
We've really seen Thomas Borges grow as a running back. Last year, Borges was very, very good. He and Jack Lemus were about a 50-50. Borges is over 1,000 yards this year coming into this game. And now he's well over 1,000 yards as he is approaching the 200-yard mark in tonight's game. So the Panthers chewing up some clock. There is 5 on the play clock, under 8 minutes on the game clock. This is going to be a tough one for Burlett to get off. He does. There's the maturity of Noah Burlett. Against Highland, most likely that would have been a delay of game. One of those many penalties that we saw. Now you've got senior Noah Burlett taking that all the way down to 1 second.
And that's where experience comes into play. You know, like you said, game 1, that may have been a delay of game, and now he is the leader. He's experienced, and he gets it off. Don't have to burn a timeout. It's a great play.
If you're watching the live stream, the rain has ceased. The weather is still cool, and the wind has definitely died down. It has become a very, very comfortable, beautiful night and a perfect night for 6A playoff football at Babcock Field. A shift in the backfield and a false start by number 66. Must have been thinking about jiu-jitsu here because that's Jordan Martin, who loves himself some jiu-jitsu when he's not playing football.
Jordan got a little eager hiking the ball on that one. He wanted to get off to a fast start, and he got off too fast.
Who would you take in a UFC ring? Would you take sophomore basketball coach Zach Martin, or would you take senior starting center Jordan Martin? In a UFC cage, coach.
Right now?
Right now.
With Z's knee?
Torn ACL and all.
Coach Z is tough.
I would take Lainey, Jordan's little sister. I think I would take Lainey over both of them. I think she would whip them both. But that's besides the point. Let's get back to football. 6 minutes and 50 seconds. Second down and 11. There's the toss to Borges around the outside. And he is wrestled down to the ground by big old number 62, Caleb Gibbs.
Third and long here for the Panthers. The clock continues to be their ally.
Coach, we're watching from afar through a press box. That number 62, that Caleb Gibbs, is one tough-nosed guy.
He's tough.
I like how he plays. He's got a little grit to him out here.
Yeah, he's got some edge.
So it is third down and 9, 6 minutes on the clock. This is a big play for the Panthers and the Normal West Wildcats. Burlett now looks left, he looks right. A handoff to Borges. Borges is wrapped up by about 6 Wildcats, and it will bring up a fourth down and about 7 for the Panthers under 6 minutes in the fourth quarter.
Gain up to the 42.
Paul Spohr is back on the field.
6, Washington.
Washington in an earlier game against Dunlap, turnover. A turnover game, 3 turnovers. Washington looking to avoid that right now at this moment. The kick goes off the side of Paul Spohr's foot and goes out of bounds at about the 50. 5 minutes and 29 seconds, 14-7. Todd Stevens, arguably one of the best defensive coordinators,
no doubt,
definitely in this area. I won't speak about the state. I don't know what the state looks like, but I know what this area looks like. Coach Stevens puts in so much preparation, so much time. If the Panthers got a weapon right now, they've got 11 good football players, but they got one heck of a defensive coordinator. Let's see what this Washington football team does on defense now. We've got bunched up on the right in a very tight formation. That is number 21 in motion. There is a pass. That's Zebarth, and that ball is intercepted by number 20 on the play. He is still on his feet. He is still on his feet. Still on his feet down the sideline, and he is wrapped up in a flag is thrown.
We got a flag back.
As that is Mason Geltz. There are 2 flags on the play. There are 3 Normal West Wildcats that are injured on the field. Number 1 injured on the field for the Wildcats, that's Jamarcus Webb. Number 72 injured on the field for the Wildcats. That's offensive lineman guard Nick Barnett, whose older brother right now is an offensive lineman at Missouri State. And Zebarth, who the pass was intended for, did not run down the field that entire possession either, although he is now on a knee near the Normal West sideline.
We also have a couple of players down.
We'll keep you updated as there are multiple trainers out on the field. There is now a Washington doctor on the field, as is Kyle Garnett. Head trainer Kyle Garnett is now out on the field for Washington as well. We most definitely hope that both these young men are just fine. They are within about 2 yards of each other. There were 2 penalties on the play as lead official Blake Oren is relaying it to the crowd. There were 2 penalties. Both penalties were against Washington. I apologize about the crowd if you could hear that.
During the return was a block in the back.
There's a legal block in the back.
That'll be marked off from the spot of the foul. Washington was also assessed with a sideline warning, their first of the game.
So the penalty was assessed to Washington at the 5-minute and 9-second mark. Our thoughts right now with Normal West as 2 players are still on the ground. Number 72, that is Nick Barnett, offensive lineman and guard. Nick began the year at center, and the ultimate teammate moved over to guard to improve that offensive lineman as he is being assisted off the field. And that is number 1 now. That is number 1, Jamarcus Webb, who has had an excellent game tonight with 2 gigantic catches on the touchdown scoring drive by the Wildcats, as Jamarcus now is being helped off the field as well. Mason Geltz, not to be lost. Coach Bauer, Mason Geltz.
Yep.
That was a trickery. That was trickery in the backfield. We saw the toss. We saw a reverse. We saw, obviously, Zebarth was the intended target. Mason Geltz with a great play. What about the return? What did you see out there? You kept on saying great patience.
He was so patient. So he waited for blocks to come towards him. So he would wait. So he would find a hole, and then he would wait for his next blocker to get ahead of him, and then make that block, and then kind of follow that block. And then he'd wait for the next guy to come and make that block and follow. His vision and patience on that return was really good.
Mason Geltz has had a fine season. Geltz with over 30 tackles on the season, and right there, a highlight for him personally, but this is a team sport. That was a huge play for the Panthers and a huge play for the entire football team. It is now 2nd down and 7. The clock says 4 minutes and 40 seconds. And Washington now is going to try to absorb as much time as possible. That play clock is going to come down to 1 second virtually every single time. The growth of Noah Burlett has prepared him for this. In the interview that I conducted with him on Thursday, he talked about it. He talked about how those first 2, 3, 4 games, there was a lot going on out there. That football game is slowing down for him.
Yep.
And there is Borges and multiple flags flying all over the field now. The back judge and the sideline judge both threw flags in the same vicinity. There was a Washington football player near the flags. It was number 13, Cade Bescheid. We'll wait right now for the official, Blake Oren from Highland, Illinois. He calls a personal foul, and it is against the Panthers. Self-inflicted wounds can be dangerous. 4 minutes and 12 seconds, 14-7. Remember, Washington, one of the things we talked about in pregame, 74 penalties on the season, 642 yards total. And it is now going to move Washington backwards. They're at the 40, and it is going to be...
So it's third down because the penalty was after the play.
Thank you, Coach. I would not have caught that. It is third down and 22. Good catch. Burlett out of the shotgun, trips to the right. Burlett, a draw. Borges has got open field. What a call by Darryl Crouch. And Borges...
First down.
Has got a first down for the Panthers. 17 years of experience. Headsets on Kyle Wisher. Headset Zach Davis up in the press box. They had pounded the football over and over and over again. What a call with a draw to Thomas Borges. Offensive line created the hole. Borges was patient and found that left side, and he gained about 24 yards with 3 minutes and 35 seconds in a huge play for the Washington Panthers. Burlett under center out of the power eye. Mapson on the top of your screen. And back to the workhorse they go as Borges now as he clips over 40 rushes on the night. And it is now second down for Washington. Second down and 5. 3 minutes and 19 seconds on the clock. When we get the statistics on Thomas Borges for his total yards and his actual rushing attempts, we will let you know. This is a night that we have not seen in quite some time in Washington football, with one guy dominating with this many rushes.
He's having a heck of a night, and it goes back to the offensive line, right? I mean, it does. They've been so good. They've got a great push all night, and they're really setting Borges up. They're giving him holes, and he's run through those holes and keeps those feet moving for first downs and even more.
It's the beauty of football. Individual stats get highlighted. Social media is going to talk about individual stats, but this game is so synced together. Offensive linemen, wide receivers blocking in space, quarterbacks and coaches communicating, relaying plays in each other. I was really impressed with the seniors that came in and talked in the interview, and they were telling me about the communication layers of a football team. How a coach will talk to a middle linebacker, another coach will talk to the DBs, Coach Wisher will talk to the offensive linemen, the middle linebacker then will talk to the rest of the squad. The same thing happens on Normal West, I'm sure, and it definitely happens at Washington. And there's Borges around the left side, and he is met by number 12. There's your Viper, Jacob Davis. Strong safety playing up in the box that time in the goal line. There's 3 minutes and 12 seconds on the clock. 3 minutes and 12 seconds on the clock. And a timeout for Normal West. Washington is looking at a third down and 5 for the Panthers. Huddled up out on the field. Coach Bauer, have you seen a few plays ago? It was on defense. Have you seen Drew Lewis anywhere on the field, Coach Bauer?
I have not seen him. I don't know where he is. I know he came off the sidelines and went to the benches here. His helmet was off, but I don't know anything other than that. So
he's had a limited role on offense tonight, so I was not expecting to see him on offense, especially as run-heavy as Washington has been. Drew tends to be on the field oftentimes when they go into the spread and start to distribute the ball all over the place. We do not see him on the sideline either, but we do have a sideline reporter down there. He's actually a security man on the track, but we like to call him a sideline reporter. We'll let you know and get you an update on number 4, Drew Lewis's status. So it's a heavy set now for the Panthers. That is B-Shide in the backfield. I believe that is Tyler Casey in the backfield and Borges. Coach, I might be able to run Charlie Schermerhorn behind those two horses. Here comes Burlett. He hands off to Borges, and Borges is down to about the 4. He is going to be just short. 4th down and 1.
For the Panthers.
Decision time for Daryl Crouch. Paul Spohr kicks it, 17-7. 2-possession game. Do you go for it? 4th down.
Up a 4th and 2.
Coach Bauer's got his thinking cap on.
When you have a kicker as good as Paul Spohr, it's hard to not take the points. But then at the same time, you're on the 3-yard line, and it's 4th and 2. His offensive line's been great all night. Do you just run it behind the big guys and put it in the end zone?
We watched Daryl Crouch at Pekin go for a 2-point conversion down by 1. Coach Crouch's mentality tends to be practice when it's raining and pouring.
Yep.
If it's snowing, they practice. Coach Crouch's mentality, I believe, is go for it. We get it.
Spohr's in the huddle.
And the game's over. Don't go for it, and we kick it. I can't wait to see what happens. That is Paul Spohr coming out. Faith in the kicker. He has 6 field goals on the season. Earlier tonight, he attempted a 51-yard field goal attempt that was just off to the right. He has 28 extra points on the season, has only missed 1. This is effectively an extra point. This one will be worth 3. And Spohr missed the kick off to the right. Normal West had some pressure up the middle.
And the snap was a little bit low. You could tell who's the holder coach. That's
Tyler Richardson.
You could tell it was a little bit low, and he didn't get a clean hold on the ball, and the timing was messed up a little bit, and caused him to push it to the right just a little bit.
Ball will be brought out to the 20-yard line. 1st down, Normal West.
And we are now ready to go. The ball now goes to the 20, which you taught me earlier, because when we kicked the 51-yarder, Washington did, that ball went to the 20.
Yep.
Normal West actually gains yards here.
Yes.
So now it's Mangrum in the back. He's got 2 wide receivers to the left, 2 wide receivers to the right. He looks to the left. That pass is caught. That is on the sideline, and he's brought down. That is number 3, Wesley McLeod. Second time his name's been on the broadcast as McLeod is brought down at about the 20-some-odd yard line, the 30-yard line, and Normal West has got a 1st down. There is a player down again for Normal West. If Charlie would zoom in for us, so we might be able to get a number. There are 3 trainers with this player. So it's 2 minutes and 57 seconds left. Washington 14, Normal West 7. This has been a fun second half. You had earlier in the night, the first 2 possessions were 3 and out. Washington responded with a long, methodical drive where Cade B-Shide scored on a 2-yard plunge. Washington then scored later in the half, 14-0. Normal West came out and showed a little bit of a different action.
Yep.
Jono Edmondson was the actual quarterback, and they ran a little bit of wildcat action. And now, Coach, it's 14-7. We've had interception on both sides. Washington's had 2 missed field goals. This is fun.
It is fun.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, seatbelts on at home. Washington fans, Normal West fans, it's going to be a good finish. There's 3 minutes left on the clock. 1st down and 10 for the junior quarterback, Jaden Mangrum. Mangrum looks left, he looks right. Calls for the ball, he's got the snap. There it is, number 33 on the catch, and a nice slant over the middle, and the reception is by Jackson Seal.
Another 1st down for the Wildcats.
Here's that Kankakee pace that we discussed earlier. This is now no huddle. Normal West quarterback again, 2 to the left, 2 to the right. Edmondson back. Mangrum steps up in the pocket. Mangrum looks to play. He shovels it off to Zebarth. Zebarth is still on his feet, and Zebarth is brought down. No gain on the play. Patrick Mahomes-like improvising in the open field for Mangrum.
No gain on the play. 2nd and 10, Normal West.
Coach, no huddle. What's the difference right now? Everything coming in from the sideline or from the quarterback?
Everything's probably coming in from the sideline here. They got a little bit of urgency. This is the time where they could find Washington and get him in a mismatch.
That ball is incomplete. He had Edmondson off to the right, set up for a bubble screen. He attempted to go to Jacob Davis, who's had a nice night on defense tonight. It is now 3rd down and 10, 2 minutes and 6 seconds. Normal West slows down now with the clock stopped on the incomplete pass. Empty backfield and empty set. Mangrum's got Zebarth off to the right in trips formation. Spread is the offense that Nate Fincham brought to Normal West 4 years ago. Spread is the offense that we see now. Fincham takes the shotgun snap. He goes deep, and that ball is incomplete.
Pass attempt by the Wildcats falls incomplete, intended for number 2.
So the Panthers are without defensive back, their lockdown corner, Drew Lewis. He is not on the football field. 4th down and 10, 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Zebarth now off to the right. Spread formation again. This could be the game. 4th down and 10. Normal West is out of timeouts. Mangrum back in the pocket, under stress. He passes, and the ball is dropped on the 1st down marker. That ball is dropped by number 33, Jackson Seal. Washington dodges a bullet, and the Panthers will take over on a turnover of downs. Washington 1st down and 10, 1 minute and 57 seconds on the clock. Normal West out of timeouts. It's Thomas Borges time. Pick up a 1st down, and Washington will go into the victory formation.
The best formation in football, Coach, the victory formation.
Remember the Highland game? A play was miscommunicated onto the field. They ran a play action fake over the middle and threw an interception in this type of scenario. But it's the maturity of Noah Burlett. Even if that play was called in, there is no way Noah Burlett's throwing this ball now. The maturity of that young man is there's your handoff to Borges. Borges up the middle behind a surge of an offensive line.
By 11,
number 70, Warwick, did his work down the field as he continued to block there about 10 yards down. 1 minute and 38 seconds left on the game clock, 25 seconds left on the play clock. Washington can sense a date in the 2nd round. Darryl Crouch football teams have become habitual playoff contenders. They are Middle Illini champions now back-to-back years. This senior class has won a lot of football games since their freshman year. Their sophomore year they won. They, of course, won conference last year, and they won it again this year. And now with a minute left on the clock, they're looking at going into the 2nd round of the playoffs.
For the first time since 2018, is that right?
For
the 2nd round of the playoffs, or a playoff win. 2019 was our first round loss, correct?
I think you're correct. So 45 seconds on the clock, 3rd down and 6. Ball is on the 38-yard line. Washington about ready to snap this football. Normal West came into foreign territory the first time these two teams have ever played. Very impressed with this Wildcat football team.
That'll be it.
Very impressed with the coaching, very impressed with the skill, the toughness, and the resilience. Down 14-0, it could have been easy to roll over and go away. This Normal West team refused to go away.
And when things weren't going their way, they did. They kept playing, they kept battling, and they put themselves in a position to have a chance to win the game.
Normal West finishes the season 6-4. Washington improves to 8-2 on the season. They will now advance to the second round. They will be watching very with much attention Chicago Kenwood and Champaign Centennial. Centennial 5-4, Kenwood 8-1. In a rare moment, it's possible the coaching staff could be on the road tomorrow to do some live scouting.
And as you know, a live scout is better than a film.
There is nothing better than sitting in the bleachers in a basketball gym and taking in the actual action right in front of you. It can really change your perspective. We watched a lot of football. We watched a lot of Normal West to prepare for this game. We always liked what we saw on film. We were every bit as impressed in live action here.
Yep.
Best of luck to Normal West throughout the rest of their seasons. There's a lot of wrestlers and basketball players on this football team. Best to them. Thank you to their coaching staff for taking the time to email us and talk to us. To Washington Football Now We Talk. Coach Bauer, I traveled to Highland. We saw this against Kankakee. We were with them at Dunlap. This is not the same football team we saw in the first 3 weeks of this football season.
This team has changed, and they've become much more. I mean, they've improved week after week. Improvement has just been huge. I mean, and like we talked about at the beginning of the game, the offensive line. You know, Jordan Martin, Jay Wireman, Case Foster, Will Montgomery, Henry Warwick, those guys improved from week 7, week 8, week 9, and now week 10.
This is a football team that is not only improving, this is a football team, and this is a phrase that is used around Washington and Washington football. This team is getting tough.
Yep.
And they are developing a little bit of that streak in them, that grit, that toughness. You saw things happening in the last 2, 3, 4 weeks. Guys staying on blocks longer. Wide receivers doing the dirty work on the outside. And Coach, it's one of the final thoughts I want to ask you. This is a selfless football team. There are skilled players everywhere out there. There are guys that run 4.40 40 on the outside. There's a guy that's 6'6" with incredible hands. The ball is not being thrown around a lot. The ball is being ran, and it's being ran successfully. But they love to win. This is fun to watch right now as this team grinds it out.
And you said it. They love to win. And that they don't care who gets the credit. They don't care who gets the touchdowns, who makes the fumble recoveries or the sacks. All they want to see at the end of the day is that they have a higher score than the other team. That's all they care about.
If you're on the stream with us and you're a Washington fan, tomorrow, 2 o'clock, Kenwood, Centennial. Find a way to watch it if it's online, because Washington will be playing the winner of that game. We look forward to next week, round 2. Washington Panther football gets to play again. And Coach Bauer, to quote the great water boy, last game of the year, don't hold anything back.
We know.
Until next time, Washington.